What's up, man? What's up, Ballsville? How's it going? Welcome to another edition of the Gauntlet Recap, recapping week 7 of the NFL. It's a wild one, another crazy weekend. We're going to recap the primetime games, and we're going to go over a little bit of NFL talk, not too much, because we'll have more of that tomorrow with the soundboard, where Chris will host. We're missing Ethan tonight. He's a busy man. He'll be with us next week. But we're going to keep it going, just the two of us. We have a lot to get over, so we're going to get right into it. But first, Chris, how you doing? How was your weekend in football, and did you get a lot of victories?
It was a very good weekend for my redraft. Not so much for Gauntlet, but that's as expected. It was still a overall winning week, 5-4 in Gauntlet. Best ball, not so good, but it all beats what the Giants did to me this weekend.
Totally understand, and we'll get to that in just a second. For me personally, last week I had a pretty good week where I went 20-7, and one of those is a rebuild and dynasty that I'm finally leaning into. But this week was not so great. I had a Monday Night Miracle get me to 10 wins, so hopefully we do better in the future. We are in the middle of the season, and after week 7, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the good, the bad, and the ugly that we saw. It was a weird week. It felt like it feels like the security that we had at wide receiver is kind of fading away. It seems like a few guys at the top and everybody else just rotating, who does well and whatnot. So I'll go first because Chris has some stuff to get into at the end of his. My good is going to be Rashee Rice, his return to the league. He was on limited snaps, but his targets per route were up there, and we saw him get 2 touchdowns. A couple short passes to get him going. Not bad for a first day back. I have a lot of Rashee Rice. Chris, do you have any Rashee?
I have a few spots with him.
It's nice to have him back, right? Hopefully you're doing well in those leagues.
I played him in every league that he came back in, and pretty good.
Yeah, he's got to be an instant start, and he rewarded you for it. So it's nice to see that. Hopefully he can save some of these rosters before I have to lean into the rebuild. My bad was Caleb Williams. It was the fact that they were able to dominate that game and not have to rely on the pass. You see Caleb not hyper-targeting Rome anymore. He's kind of trying to spread the ball around, and I'm not sure if that's what he's comfortable doing. Seems like he had more success hyper-targeting, his first read. But they had success running the ball. We'll talk a little bit more about Monangai later in the show. Caleb, start for you in any of your leagues, Chris?
Yeah, unfortunately he did. Yes, but I have worse options that started that I was not too fond of this week. Quarterback position was pretty rough. Luckily, it panned out with other positions picking it up.
Yeah, so the quarterback position is what's going to be my ugly here. I'll make it brief, guys. We're talking names like Marcus Mariota, Andy Dalton, Jacoby Brissett, Carson Wentz, Tyrod Taylor. Those are 5 quarterbacks that you're probably going to have to put your faith in if you're struggling with this Bimageddon, Bipocalypse, whatever you want to call it. 6 teams out on a bye. You're talking about 11 quarterbacks that aren't going to be able to help your team out this week, and then maybe some of the ones that are going to be there are underperforming. One of the people that's not out is Tua. So you're going to have to put your stock in him if that's your quarterback too. And that quarterback position going into week 8, where you're going to see a lot of these redraft placements for the Gauntlet leagues are coming down to week 8. So it's bad news all around at the quarterback position, and hopefully you have some security. And hopefully we see Lamar back, and we don't even know who's going to start if he's not here. So, Chris, do you have anything to add to that quarterback scarcity?
It's going to be rough. Just got to survive week 9, and then then you can build up again.
Yeah, big stuff coming up for the Gauntlet. And guys, we know that not everybody's going to tune into the show, but for those of you that do, we just find this to be like a cool little way to communicate with you and let you kind of give your questions and your input, because the show is for the games. The games come first. They continue to roll, and all this is just kind of our way of getting the information out to you, and then you get to decide whether or not you want to take it in. So that said, I'm going to turn it over to Chris and let him talk about his good, bad, and ugly for the weekend.
My good of the weekend was Oronde Gadsden, 164 yards on 7 receptions, 29.4 Ballsville points. I mean, he tied with McBride for the top spot for tight ends. He's still available in plenty of leagues. Yeah, he's going to be a top pickup for me, definitely. My bad was Saquon Barkley. 18 rushes, 44 yards, 2.4 yards per carry, and a total of 5.2 Ballsville points. We're just waiting for that breakout game to happen, and it's just not happening. He's just average when he's good and a dud when you're expecting him to put up double digits. It's unreal. My ugly, oh boy, the New York Giants, fourth quarter defense.
Ouch.
You go into fourth quarter up 19-0. You end up scoring 13 yourself in the fourth quarter, but you give up 33 points. Talk about ways, a million ways to die. I mean, that's wow. Like 0 points given to Denver in the first 3 quarters, 33 in the fourth. The over under on this game was 40.5, and 46 got scored in the fourth quarter alone.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Crazy. So that was my good, bad, and ugly. There's a lot worse to be talked about tomorrow.
Oh yeah, tune in for that. If you don't know, Chris is a Giants fan, and he's had a roller coaster of a season. Losing neighbors, but finding two, the superstars that are sitting in his background. A lot of hope there, and a lot of heartbreak. Every time I see the Giants in their roller coaster ways, I always think of you, man, and just got to check on your friends and hope that your well-being is safe. So I can't wait to hear more of that tomorrow. But we'll move on here. We do have a lot to get into, so we're going to go back to the recap version. We're going to talk a little bit more about the week in the NFL. Let's do this and get us off stage. We'll just kind of browse through this. As far as the primetime games go, we had Atlanta versus San Francisco, where Christian McCaffrey finished with 32 total touches. Mac Jones completed 17 passes. 7 of those went to CMC. George Kittle had the goose egg. He was in there blocking and still, kind of dictating the flow of the game. But as far as pass catching, I think he got 2 targets and didn't catch either. Drake London and Kyle Pitts each get 10 targets, while Bijan gets 8 targets, and then it's slim pickings for anybody else on that roster. Mooney had a couple opportunities that didn't come through. He can be boom bust. You'll see Penix and Mac Jones, scoring barely over the double digits for Penix, and Mac Jones and Caleb Williams, part of the reason why I lost in so many leagues. You see the San Francisco Christian McCaffreys fed that man the ball, 201 total yards, which wasn't the most over the primetime games. We'll get to that. Bijan Robinson put in work for the Falcons with 92 total yards and a touchdown and some finesse. That guy has got like the Kobe Bryant flow to the game. And Penix didn't look too bad, but wasn't really the reason for their loss. Overall, as a 49er fan, it was nice to see them pull off a victory after Atlanta had been dominating on defense and keeping up on offense. Chris, do you have anything to add to this game?
It's just a perfect way to go about thinking about the performance of a defense, right? Because we have on one side we have an offense that struggles against a defense that is mid at best, and then on the other side we have a banged up offense, but with some good players against a great defense, and the mid players came out on top.
It's crazy, man. I'll take it though. I'll take it as a Niner fan. I don't know how, but we are 5-2, and we'll take it. Going on to the Tampa Bay versus Detroit game. Again, both quarterbacks under 15 points. There was a lot of Monday Night Miracles that were spoiled by this. A lot of quarterback play that underperformed. We saw Jared Goff could have had that touchdown pass to Gibbs where he stumbled and then got the touchdown run on the next play. Hopefully some of you were able to stay up for that play. I know I had to go to bed after the second quarter, and I'm West Coast after the second half. Jahmyr Gibbs, 218 total yards. That's a lot of yards, man. That guy is really good at football. Buka got 12 targets, but again, Baker Mayfield was under pressure the whole game, and some of those targets were way off key, and that's not really Baker's style, but Detroit did its part to disrupt that offense. Overall, I thought this was a pretty dominant game by the Lions, more so than what the score reflects. Chris, do you have anything to say about this game?
It worked out for Detroit, but I'll tell you what, they take way too many risks, unnecessary risks, but it paid off for them. You can say that almost any week that they win, especially against good teams like this. They are not afraid to go for it on fourth down. They're playing chess out there, even with the officiating calls and such. It's going to bite them in the ass like it did last year at some point.
How do you think Baker Mayfield's going to be able to move forward without Mike Evans for the season, and with Ibuka maybe hopefully he doesn't have a setback, but I feel like the ceiling is limited now when you get an injury mid-season, and you kind of have to adjust your philosophy for each game to try to conserve that body part or whatnot, maybe. But you think Baker's going to be able to bounce back?
I think what they need to do is rely on the running backs a little more, because we saw what White could do, and
right.
And with the guy coming back from IR pretty soon, until Ibuka comes back to full strength, I think they should definitely consider adding more responsibility to the running back room.
And one more question for you. We know Godwin is struggling with injuries for the season. Ibuka seems to be there. Do you have any hope for Jalen McMillan coming back and kind of putting up some fantasy football value here towards the end of the year? Or do you think his season is toast?
I think him and Tez can put up some respectable numbers being a fill-in, and mix him in with Ibuka. One of those guys are always going to have good numbers, because Baker's not afraid to throw it. Like you said, he wasn't on target a lot this game, but that Detroit defense was pounding him. So not every defense is going to be like that.
Yeah, that was pretty nuts, man. I think that there's hope for their Tampa Bay. They should be getting Bucky back within the next, I think, the week after this week. They have a bye, if I remember right. Week 9. Yeah, week 9 they have a bye. And I'm certain of that because Ethan's been selling all of his Buccaneers, because that week 9 bye is dictating how he plays the gauntlet game. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Houston versus Seattle. I wanted to take a minute to highlight the tight ends here, Eric Arroyo and AJ Barner. Bringing on 8 targets between the two of them. They're just kind of splitting the work there, and it does suck. After Fant moved on, if you had hope for either one of these, they're just going to split the work, and it seems like that's a trend going forward. There's no real security in either one. So for me, I've been rostering a lot of AJ Barner, and I think I'm ready to drop him because I don't like seeing Arroyo stepping onto the scene like that. The receivers for the Texans, Jalen Noel leads with 7 targets and 77 yards, which is remarkable in its own. But considering that Jaden Higgins down here had 3 targets and no receptions, and he seemed to be the guy that they wanted, in the NFL draft ahead of Noel. He's outperforming them and actually, came out with a better day than Nico Collins, who got 10 targets, but they couldn't connect. You have any of Nico Collins, Chris, and do you have any hope for Noel or Higgins going forward?
It's kind of hard to have hope when Stroud is your quarterback. He's just leading them into throws where they can get hurt. I mean, I watched that game last night, and not the concussion play for Collins, but he led him right into 2 defenders in the middle of the field, took a bad shot. He's got to know better than to do that. I mean, and both of these defenses were playing well last night. Seattle's secondary is crazy good. Houston defense is elite, like top 3 in the league, especially at holding teams under 20. I mean, before this game, their defense was first in scoring for 12 points a game. And now it jumps up a little bit, but that defense is elite. If Stroud can, let alone finish drives, if he can just keep the defense off the field for more than a couple minutes at a time, they'd be better. But he's struggling.
Yeah, I know, and it's got to be demoralizing for that defense. Like you said, they're doing such a great job. We highlighted that 12 points per game on our game on last week's soundboard. But yeah, that O-line is kind of like the laughing stock amongst the fantasy football community and the football community, as far as I see. And Stroud's not helping the situation. He's making bad choices and off-target throws when he has the opportunity. It looks pretty bad over there in Houston. Kind of a bad day for them. JSN continues to perform, and this is another game where both of the quarterbacks, if I do recall, scored less than 15 points. So you had 3 primetime games, and nobody scored more than 15 points at the quarterback position. Like I said, snuffing out a lot of your Monday Night Miracle hopes. And that's that for the recap. We'll jump right into waiver wire pickups. Revisiting what we talked about last week, we did do Tez Johnson versus Cameron Johnson. Cameron Johnson had the bigger day with 4 receptions and a touchdown. Tez Johnson had 1 big play last week, but everybody on the panel decided, Tez Johnson was the target pickup last week. We didn't want to spend our fab on that, but we were willing to roster him just to kind of see how this week played out. And we're rewarded with 4 of 9 for 58 yards and 1 touchdown. And with the unfortunate Mike Evans injury, this kind of puts Tez in a position where he could be a flex start, especially during these bye weeks. And, if he continues to prove it, Chris, do you feel secure with a guy like this getting you past week 10 if you're in the gauntlet?
Well, if I need him for week 10, it's going to be a problem. But for right now, week 8, no fear this week. But week 10, I hope I have better options. I mean, he's a plug and play if you're that desperate.
Yeah, good take. I'm right there with you. I think if you're little but with injuries, I have a league where I have 7 injuries. My IR is full, and with bye weeks, I'm gonna have to drop somebody. So, Tez Johnson, if he's still there, put in a claim. This one real quick, we did do Whittington versus Tutu. I think I'm the only dork that took Tutu only because he does have a history of boom games, and I said if you needed somebody to boom for you, maybe he would do it, and he gave you a big 0. Didn't even get a target. It was Whittington who got 4 targets, only came out with 2 for 9 yards. 10 targets went to the tight end position. It was actually 3 tight ends that took targets, and 8 of those targets went to Devontae Adams, and I think there was only like 8 to 10 targets that went elsewhere throughout all the receivers there in LA. So Whittington was the answer, but not the answer for your rosters. Another one we covered was Dortch versus Zay Jones. This one did have a pretty prominent outcome, with Zay Jones giving 8 points at least, only 2 catches, but 67 yards. Actually did a little better than Marvin Harrison, who got 2 for 58, but Dortch only got 2 for 5. And on a side note, talking about the Arizona Cardinals, Jacoby Brissett has given you quarterback 1 performances, quarterback 7 2 weeks ago, and last week was quarterback 12. They go into the bye week, but if Kyler's not right, if he's not right, how much faith do you have in Jacoby Brissett going into the dream matchup versus Dallas, and then again against Seattle, Chris?
I would play him because he's played very, very well considering what people think. So Dallas, Seattle, maybe not Seattle from what we just saw against Houston, but
Right.
Dallas especially.
Right. So we're talking about 170 yards between these receivers and no touchdowns. So how does it get to those points? Well, Mr. Trey McBride, tight end 1 on the weekend. I'm pretty sure he's got 2 touchdowns and some yardage. What a beast of a guy!
Tied with my guy there, Gadsden, 29.4.
Yeah, Gadsden. It sounds like a mafia name, something Gadsden. All right, going into this week's waiver claims, we do have a little bit of action at the running back position. Just an unfortunate injury to Kendry Miller puts Devin Neal in a position to be the RB2 behind Kamara. I know Kamara says he doesn't want to be traded. Maybe he doesn't. But once the season for the Saints is in the gutter, they probably will dial up some action for the rookie just to see what they have there. And I haven't looked at his matchups, but maybe you need a running back hopeful. Not a guy that you're going to count on, but maybe somebody you roster and see if he pays out in the end. Same thing with Isaiah Davis with Breece Hall trade rumors. That's 2 weeks away. He could see a role there with Braylon Allen still injured. And then the battle of the ball, Kyle Monangai, who we just saw put up 17 points. He's probably not going to be on your waiver wires because of a lot of Ballsville players were up on him. I have a couple shares of him. Chris, you have any Monangai?
I think I do in best ball, but that's it.
So, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, he's somebody that we would be talking about up on top here, somebody that you kind of just want to put on your roster if you have a space and see what happens. If you're in a position now where you've been rostering this guy and he put up a performance like this, 13 carries for 81 yards, a couple receptions, and a touchdown. And then I think they have a pretty decent schedule going forward. I think they play Kansas City this week. How much faith would you put in a Kyle Monangai to be, or if you need an RB2, would you put any hope in him?
I wouldn't have the faith. I mean, it's tough because even though you're seeing that 17.4, I mean, you're likely seeing it with him on your bench. And then you run the risk of, well, he's not going to do that every week. And if I throw him in my starting lineup next week and he puts up a 6 or a 5, then you're behind the 8 ball, but it could happen because he's not the RB1 there. Swift is entrenched. There's been no talk of him not being RB1, so it's just very risky.
I do think DeAndre has a small injury that he came away from the game with, so that'll be something to keep an eye on. I think you're right. The points that you see there are going to be coming from your bench. I don't think I'm ready to put him in my lineup. If I had to play him over anybody, I maybe no, I wouldn't even play him over like a Seattle RB. A matchup dependent, like a Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker decision. I would still go with one of them over Monangai, but he does this again, then maybe he steps forward. So there's a couple RBs. I wanted to highlight another running back, Jeremy McNichols. Didn't do much this week. They were trailing, but he did get 2 receptions, had a couple rushes. So the schedule is to die for. We're going to talk about Bill Krofsky-Merritt here with Chris, but McNichols is a guy that's done things in the past. He's always been a pass catching RB. They're going to be trailing against KC, Seattle, Detroit, Miami. Who knows if it's going to be Mariota or Jaden Daniels. I don't know how serious that injury is. But if you're looking at hoping in Krofsky-Merritt, Jeremy McNichols, and I just went blank. Who's the other one there? Chris Rodriguez. Who do you have if you have to put your cards on one of those? Who are you going to roll with, Chris?
Just because of his usage, is still going to be Bill. Still going to be Krosky Merritt. I mean, he did have the lion's share of the rushes. It's not too much to ask for him to have a good game once in a while. So just based on his ceiling, I think it's still Krosky Merritt to me.
So one thing I know for sure, if I have a shot at rostering any one of them, if I can afford a bench spot for McNichols, for Krosky Merritt, those two, not so much Chris Rodriguez, but those two, if we can get to that playoff matchup and we have a little bit of clarity and somebody's getting the opportunities, maybe Bill gets the goal line work by that point of the season. I mean, we could be talking about a league winner going up against that schedule with Dallas in the championship. Just something to keep an eye on. Monitor the Washington progression for these running backs, and if he's out on the waiver wire, I'm not going to spend any fab, but I'll put a claim in on him just to get him, that last spot on my roster if it's blank. Some of the things that Chris made me laugh with earlier before we went on was he'd rather have a blank roster than a couple of these guys. Quick mention for the receivers. It's dirty out there, but you have Chamari DK without Ridley. He saw a little bit of action. Jalen Noel, who we mentioned earlier, who seems to be the go-to guy above Higgins. We talked about Tez Johnson. He's probably picked up. I know I wanted to wait an extra week to see how he did before I put any stock in him. But at this point, if he's there, I might put a couple bucks of fab on a waiver claim. And then Troy Franklin, I would have Mims up here, but Mims is on a lot of rosters. But if Franklin's out there, Chris, you would rather have a blank spot than Troy Franklin?
Yeah.
You feel the same way about Mims?
I'm not a fan of Mims either. No, not
would
like
you rather
a
have,
lot of these Ballsville folks.
Would you rather have Evan Ingram on your roster than either one of these?
I still have Ingram on some rosters. I haven't dropped him in all of them.
Gotcha. So for me, Troy Franklin, because he's out there, I know he's out there in a lot of leagues, and it's getting we're getting pretty desperate out here with all these bye weeks and injuries. I think that he is somebody that you can kind of put a prayer in if you need somebody in your flex spot. Bo Nix, I think, is a quarterback one in one quarter. So on the week, quarterback one, and part of that was just his success with Franklin and with his receiving core in that fourth quarter. Just guys to keep an eye on. If they do it again, you're gonna want to roster them at some point. That's it for our waiver section. The last section that we're going to talk about here is the Gauntlet game itself. Chris, you mentioned you're not doing too great this year, right? Like you're having a hit and miss season.
Yeah, 5 of my leagues I sold good players for all of Ethan's fab, so I'm losing those every week. I mean, I'm not the lowest scorer in these leagues, so week 9 is still unfolding where I can still compete. But as far as I sold out the 1 seed in all of those, like there was no chance. But I'm still alive for survival. And if I do survive
Nice.
those week 9s, then I've got more fab than everybody else, and I'll be in a good spot.
Absolutely. So that's the beauty of it, guys, is that various strategies to this, right? So Chris is saying that he kind of gave up his now for the future, and here we are going into week 8. After this, everything's going to change on this game. The redraft portion will be done, and we'll be getting into the gauntlet, the guillotine portion of the gauntlet, where the bottom team each week, only your weekly scores matter. That bottom team will get chopped, and with twice as much fab as anybody else, Chris can decide who he wants to go after and have the money to to pull those players and boost his roster real quick. And it's only 4 weeks of the guillotine portion. So it's not like everyone's going to have all this time in a normal guillotine format where they can just pick up players each week. You get 4 weeks to remold your roster before we enter the best ball portion for the playoffs. We'll get into that in a little bit. Real quick, I want to just give a shout out to some of the people that chimed in here. Mr. Todd Barber, your name's going to be on one of these slides. Thank you for stopping by. Mr. Jeffrey, he'll be on tomorrow for the soundboard, covering redraft. That's our redraft manager. And my lovely wife, always supporting, Soul Stiller. Thanks for stopping by, guys. The rest of you guys can catch this recording. But getting into the Gauntlet game, we have a few teams that have locked up their number 1 seed. And by locking up your number 1 seed, we still have 1 week to play, but these people either have the game lead or they have the points to break a tie and are 2 games ahead. So these are the ones that we've decided it's secure to crown them as the number 1. At the top, we see Amon-Ra Dark, out of order, but DJ Ethan, our friend Ethan, he's sitting at 14-0 and has locked up the number 1 seed. He actually has a team that's 12-2, but they're about 100 points behind him, and Ethan looks like he's poised to win this week again. So safe to crown him number 1 seed. All of the number 1 seeds after next week are going to get awarded $30. It's our first payout of the game. And we're also going to have a $50 bonus. There's going to be 3 of those, and those go out to the winners of each legion, the most points over the first 8 weeks. We'll show you how to see those here in a minute. From Amon-Ra Light, we have the creator, Trader Clem. And from Anubis Dark, there's our friend right there, Mr. Todd Barber. Ankh of Anubis at 13-1, he secured the number 1 spot. So all 3 of these guys have secured the first payout of $30, and they will claim the number 1 seed, which will affect them going into the playoff portion of it, where they will have the easiest matchup for week 13, where they face the 8 seed from the opposing realm. So, like for instance, Ethan here, the number 1 seed in Amon-Ra Dark, will face the number 8 seed in Amon-Ra Light, whereas Trader Clan there will face the 8 seed from Amon-Ra Dark, and then they will continue to match up like that. So 3 of those in the Egyptians. Actually, Chris, you have the names of the players, right, that are in the current number 1 spot?
Yes, I do.
You want to give us those? Why don't you give us those, man?
Do you want every legion, or just start with Egypt?
Let's just do the Egyptians while we have them in front of us.
All right. So in Osiris Dark, we've got Rick and Mortides in the first spot. A game ahead right now. We've got Run the Hurry Up, winning on points right now in Osiris Light. We've got your 2 Amun-Ras right there on the screen. We've got Horus Dark, another good showing from our friend DJ Ethan. He looks to be poised to win that one too. And we have Horus Light. Trader Clem is winning on points right now. So that's another good one. Sticky Picky, our friend Sticky Picky with the tools. He's the first place team in Anubis Light, up a game. And that concludes the Egyptian side.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you, Chris. There's Anubis Dark right there. So yeah, it's pretty cool, guys. And if you're in these leagues, we'll get to it in a minute, but we went and did an announcement where we kind of highlighted the person in the number 1 seed, give them a heads up to let them know what's coming to them and what they need to do going forward, and to let everybody in the leagues know how the next phase is going to go as we get into the guillotine portion of it. So this is the Egyptian realm. Getting into the Greeks, we have 2 people that have locked up their number 1 seed right here. DJ Ethan again. His name's being mentioned a lot. Again, remember, guys, he sold some of his fab to acquire players going into the season, leaving himself vulnerable to get passed up value-wise in the guillotine portion of these games. But it's paid off for the redraft portion. So it's up to you to decide, is it your strategy, like you see right there at Aries, where he has no fab, but he's going to claim the number one spot, so immediately gets a $30 payout, getting his entry fees back, and then dominating that portion. But now he has to rely on the roster he has going forward. Plenty of strategies to be had. Grizz Tony and Poseidon Dark, he only has 27 fabs, so he's been very active with that, sitting at 13-1 on an 8-win streak. And Ethan's 9 wins in a row. So pretty impressive for these guys. Congratulations. $30 will be added to your name on our templates, and you'll be stacking those throughout the game until you're eliminated. Chris, do you have the Greeks for us?
Yes, I do. Our other division, Aries Light, Run the Hurry Up, has a game lead. Poseidon Light, P Groat, has a 2-game lead, so he's just about locked that up as long as he can get past the median this week.
Nice.
And Apollo Dark, our friend again, DJ Ethan, has a 2-game lead. Apollo Light, I'm leading that one by 1 game. Zeus Dark, I'm also tied with DJ Ethan at 11-3 right now. I'm probably going to lose this one though. And Zeus Light, we've got Coda Bear and Big Winner 77 tied up for that spot in the 1 seed.
Nice. All right, so 2 in the Greeks. Next week we'll be giving you all 8 of the first seeds, and you'll see in the templates that are pinned in your leagues, how that affects you going forward. Over here for the Romans, again, we have 2 of them. We have one of my favorite names, Chicken Boy. He's got all his fab pretty much 195, and he's sitting at 13-1. So maybe good strategy is just kind of taking what's given to you. And down here, Run the Hurry Up again. We've heard that name about 3 or 4 times. It's good to see people doing well. We like winners here. We're not fans of losers. We like winners. Ballsville is all about the winners. So, I was supposed to put the names together here. Chris, you didn't happen to do the Romans, did you?
No, I didn't.
No, that's fine. I'll give them to you right now. Ready? It's Westlex. No, I'm not leading in any of these. I'm number 2 in a lot of them, though. Anyways, congrats to our number 1 seeds. That's 7 people that have locked up that $30 payout. And then as far as the scoring leaders go, well, if you've been watching these at all, first of all, thank you. But you should already know that you can come over here to the ballsvillegame.com and put our little banner up. You can come over here and check out the scoring leaders for after week 8. The highest scores, like right here, would obviously be for the Greeks, DJ Ethan. After this all gets tallied up, he'll be the one that wins the $50 bonus for the Greeks with his performance in Aries Dark. Egyptians would be DJ Ethan again, dominating that realm, and the Romans, DJ Ethan. So you're talking about a guy claiming $150 in prizes just off of the bonuses, plus $30 for whatever league he finishes number 1 in. Ethan sold out for the redraft portion. It's starting to pay dividends. If it didn't, it might be a problem. Congratulations, though. Like we said, we're all about the winners. But go check out that scoreboards by yourself on your own time. Right here is a quick look at the brass balls. This is our managers league where we compete against each other. This is going to be the prototype for the 2026 version of the Gauntlet game. That's why we visit it. We'll take you down some of the winners and losers here. I lost to Sticky Picky. Again, Sarah beat Grim Darkness. DJ Ethan beat our friend Todd. Zubikis with the win over Z-Dub, our dynasty manager. Chiefs Life taking out C-Bomb, our other dynasty manager for the Heroes. JoJo beats Cheeky Hobson. And Chris Sims beats Chris. Like we say, when you win, you get to sub out somebody in your flex for somebody in their flex that isn't protected with that little skull. You can have power shifts, or if you don't like the players, you can take some of the fab. The other party has to accept the trade for losing. That's the plunder portion. After week 8, unlike the current Gauntlet leagues, we're going to see 2 teams get cut from this league. We're going to end with 6 teams at the end of the guillotine portion. And then we're going to get into the playoff bracket, but it's going to be just a standard redraft format, not best ball. So this year will be best ball, next year will not be best ball, and we'll be able to transition to a chopped format where we can have the computer take care of the chopped teams each week. This year, we have to rely on you guys. It's going to be tedious for me, Chris, and Ethan as we go league by league and make sure that the lowest scoring team, weeks 9 through 12, take the time to drop all the players on their roster by 3 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday. If you don't drop it by then, it forces us to go in and manually drop your roster for you, which is very tedious. I know I don't want to do that, but just kind of be cool. Drop your roster during the gauntlet or the guillotine portion. We'll be doing the same over here for the brass balls. Chris, do you have anything to say about how this brass balls is going?
It's a good I would say test run. Some things you need to plan for. So I didn't do it too well planning before this, and as far as the draft was concerned. Yeah, you gotta assume depth in this format, just more than you would any other, because you lose a player week 1, your depth is gone, and you got to pray for miracles every week.
Yeah, absolutely. And one tip for this format, if you're gonna block a player with the skull and crossbones, you can protect the player on your flex. I found out that it's more flexible to block a player that's going to play earlier in the week. That way, if you feel like you're going to lose, like if it's pretty certain, you can take the other player that plays on Monday out of your roster and put somebody else in there that can't be stolen if you do lose. So if you have the depth to manipulate like that, it is a strategy that I've started to notice would help here. But like you're saying, if you have to have depth, because if you only have like 7 superstars and one of them gets taken week 1, you're going to have a hard time winning to gain another talent. And that could be a problem that spirals you out of control. And then you end up 14 seed like our friend Zach here with $0 fab and 0-7 record. So good luck, Z-Dub. One of the last things, guys, if you're in the Gauntlet game, we did release this week 7 update. It's all pretty self-explanatory. We took the time to write it up for you and kind of cover all bases. Talks about how we're going to end the redraft portion. Trading. Trades should not be allowed during the guillotine portion. And Chris, you agree with this, right? Like, there's no reason to be trading. Like, if you know you're going down and the computer hasn't chopped your team yet and you just decide, I'm going to trade my superstar to that guy over there, and say, it's legal. No, guess what? No, this is to let you know we're not going to allow that. During this time of year, we've been doing this long enough to see a lot of buddy trades where one team is kind of going down and they say, hey, you trade me this guy over here and I'll trade you that guy over there. It's one of the things that we always watch out for, and we hate to paint people in that light, but it does preserve the integrity of the game, which is always our goal. So after the conclusion of week 8 games, trades will not be allowed. Sleeper doesn't let us set a week 8 deadline. It makes us set week 9 and beyond. So we have to kind of enforce this as managers. Going into the weekend, if you're starting to lose your game and you make a trade, that trade will be heavily scrutinized. And what I mean by that is that if I see it, or if Chris sees it, or Ethan sees it, they're going to kind of alert the league. The manager bot will come in. We'll let the players justify why they made the trade. And if they can't justify it, if it's something egregious, then we spawn a poll and we let the league decide if the trade should stand. Usually it does, but again, this is the prime time for some of the fishy stuff that we try to avoid. So it's just there to protect you guys. Your overall league standings will be recorded onto the template that's attached. That's dropped in every league for each legion. After week 8, the number 1 seed from each league will receive a game-wide payout of $30. We covered that. In addition, the $50 early dominator bonus will go to the highest total points for each legion. Don't let Ethan get those, guys. You need to perform this last week. After week 9, like we said, the lowest team will be required to drop the players from their roster no later than 3 p.m. EST on Tuesday. After that, we'll have to do it for you. Just be cool and drop it yourself so we don't have to do all that work, guys. After week 10, this is important. Your rosters expand 1 time throughout the season. You gain an extra wide receiver, you gain 1 extra flex, and you gain 3 extra bench spots. This will occur right at the end of week 10. While the teams are being chopped, you'll gain these spots, and then those waivers will probably be the most important waivers after week 10. So, Chris, for you, that's going to be when all your fab pays off, man. Are you looking forward to that?
I got to survive first, but sure, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Survive 2 weeks, though, right? Because this is after week 10.
Yeah, so after week 9, you'll be able to get your
Correct.
powerhouse players from whatever roster if you spend up to get those players. And then right here is when you're going to make your move to get your depth and fill out your roster for the best ball portion.
Yep.
So after week 13, the number 1 seed from each round will face the number 8 seed from the opposing round. Each round, light and dark. That's every god has 2 leagues, light and dark. They coincide. Best ball will engage for the bracket for both light and dark leagues. Best ball is going to engage before kickoff week 13. So you're going to have that time frame to do your last minute waiver claims, fill out your rosters and your bench, move around your IR players, and then it's going to go into best ball. And then after that, you're going to sit back and you're going to watch the templates. You're going to watch these leagues or these shows. You're going to check out the website. Everything's going to be up for you, and it's going to look like this. Chris, I want to thank you for your help this season, volunteering to help fill these out and monitor these leagues. That's invaluable stuff. So I appreciate it. This was always intended to be a 3-person job. 1 for each legion. So it's nice to have Chris and Ethan here to help. For the Greeks, this will be Chris's legion, so he'll be the one doing this. We'll cover Zeus Light here. Your names will be put up here if you win the $50 bonus. And for the number 1 seeds for every league, you'll get the $30 bonus attached here. But we'll input your names based on how you finish the redraft portion, and this will be your seeding for the playoff portion. Your names will be here based off your finish. During the guillotine portion, whoever's eliminated will just be eliminated from the order, and then the order will collapse. So if you're number 5 and you get eliminated, suddenly number 6 moves into the 5 spot, and 7 moves up, so on and so forth, and it creates a 1 through 11. By the time we get to the end of week 12, we will have 8 teams seeded 1 through 8. They'll be added to the bracket, and they will be inverted with the dark realm so that the number 1 seed faces the 8 seed, and so on and so forth. And there are bonuses. You can go to the website and look at the rules. There are conditional bonuses here for the King Slayer and for the lunch money bonus, and that has to do with the matchup between the number 1 and the number 8 seed. So if you're the bottom dweller and you squeak in after the guillotine portion, or if you're the dominant person and you claim that number 1 seed, you guys here in these matchups, you guys get a shot at another $50 bonus. And then after week 14, you start to see your payouts for every win. After week 16, all gods will have their champion, and then all the champions will face off. And all that information is right there, pinned in your league, guys. All the lead a horse to water thing, can't force you to digest it, but it's there. The shows are here. We're here as managers to help you through the game. It's a lot to take in, but we're trying to help you understand. So, Chris, you have anything to add to that? I know it was a lot.
No, I'm just ready for this week to be over with and start Guillotine next week.
Yes. Next week we're gonna have 24 $30 winners for you guys. We're gonna have 3 $50 winners for you guys. We're gonna have your seeding. We're gonna have your names inputted into these documents. You'll be able to go and browse through everybody in your legion. You can jump legions. If you're in the light, you'll have a window to go spectate in the dark. If you're in the dark, same thing for the light. Props to K-Dog for checking us out. Thank you for showing up. And everybody else that's watching, tune in tomorrow for the soundboard. It's nice to be able to get out of here within the hour. Chris, you have anything else to add before we get out?
No. See you tomorrow.
All right, guys. See you tomorrow. We're going to have Jeffrey with us, so make sure you tune in.